Alright, so this is where we left off. I might not have a whole lot of time here, so I'm just gonna putz on this for a minute. So, the first thing that I want to do is I just want to put this island that we've been modeling into the game engine so we can run around it and see if it's going to make any sense to actually be playable, because we might have to resize it. It might be too big. So we're going to do some of that. I do want to have a little bit of like a what's the word? Like a plateau here with like a retaining wall. So let's see if we can model something that kind of looks like that. Yeah, that's the idea anyway. But then we'll want it to be a little bit more rounded, so we can do it something like that. We can play around more with the actual details of it. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. And we can even kind of just scale this on the y-axis, or the z-axis rather, and kind of make that a plateau. And then we could even say, let's pull this point up and pull it back, just to give it more of like a open shape this way. Flatten that out. I like that. The thought is going to be there's going to be an airfield right here, right? So, and then we might even we have proportional editing on. That's not good. I don't like that that's the default. It's not what I want it to be. Right. Kind of make it so it's like dug out a little bit. Something like that. We can change the colors and stuff. This is just ideas, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Cool. And then we can kind of split some faces in here and make some colors so that this looks like it's got some walls around it. We can actually just do that and give it a little bit of a raised surface here. Something like that. Yeah, I think that's good. That feels so much more interesting to me than like the original like little castle looking thing that we had modeled. This just feels much more organic. So anyway, let's go ahead and put this in and see how the scale feels. So let's just export it. I'm going to call this ground. That's just fine. And then let's go... Wait a moment for this to all load. And then let's go here, level, spruce airfield, and I'm going to make a new scene. We could just rename this one. I'm not going back to what it was, so it'd be silly to rename it. Cool. Open this up. Okay, just kidding. Let's delete it. And let's just make a new scene. So, new scene. Perfect. Call it a 3D scene. And now here's our ground object. So let's do new inherited. We made a few mistakes here. So let's close that. Let's get back into Blender and when we export this, export to this, let's include visible objects and let's apply modifiers to geometry. There we go. Alright. And now let's try that again. So let's open this up and say new inherited, and now that's much better. That's what we want it to look like. Awesome. So then let's see. Right, and we might end up switching some of those walls to be in the level editor in Godot, or in the scene, whatever. Have them be in Godot and not have them be in Blender, just so we can tweak them in Godot, right? So we'll just call this ground scene. That's perfect. And then if we go over here, we're going to include ground in here. Now we're going to attach a script to this, and we're going to rename this. It's not going to let me rename it from there, so we're going to rename it from a file explorer. Make sure we're just in the right folder. There we go. And we'll go to our GD script, which is right here, and we're going to rename it to Spruce. Cool. And there it is. And perfect. Okay. And that should all be good. Now, what we will do is we'll go to our level menu. We'll change this to be the right name. Good. And then we're going to need to put a player instance into this scene. So that'll just dictate our spawn point. So we're going to spawn them over here. So let's grab the player and add them right there. Looks about right. Perfect. Okay. I think we can actually play it now. So let's see how this feels. Oh, hang on. There we go, and the collision layer should be 2 for environment. There we go. Much better. Nice, okay. this just looks, it looks much more interesting and welcoming than the the previous version of this level, so I much like it. We're going to put a lighthouse up there, so we'll do that eventually, and this looks pretty good in terms of the scale. I think it's just about right on. It's not too big, but it's not too small. It's not too small where it like doesn't feel like there's actually some material here. And yeah. we'll hide some acorns in here. So that's kind of cool. Just a little cave in the side of the mountain. Nothing fancy. We really could add a little bit of an underground section there. That could be kind of cool. And we could even implement like ladders or something, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, the scale of all these things seems about right. So I'm going to add a chairlift right here that gets you over this cliff, right? We maybe should add a sprint button. Like, I like the idea that we're actually running at like normal speed right now. Like, this is actually the real speed that a human can jog at, so it makes sense. But you could have a sprint button. And that wouldn't be too unreasonable. It would be, you know, it would take a little bit of the stress off of playing it, and it would make the pacing feel a little better. You know, if we're gonna have this big of a island where you just have to run, you know, over this kind of a large distance, it just feels like a lot of just running. Yeah, and I mean, we could mitigate that a little bit by shrinking it as well, but I think the scale feels about right. I think the scale feels about right. It feels like a big island, which is kind of cool. So let's start throwing in some trees just for fun. So we have a kit here with stuff like trees and stuff. So let's just drag some trees in, or we can just duplicate them and reuse them. So if we go for small tree, and we don't want to drag these into the ground object. We want to drag them into the airfield object. Although we can parent them to the ground if we want. We wouldn't have to, though. Let's start with them not parented to the ground, and just see how we go. Right. Now we do still have this distant island that we can place, which is kind of fun. So let's do that. So if I've got my level here, here's my distant island, right? So let's just throw it in. Oh, sure. And that's okay, because, well, we could just open this and say, oops, fix dependencies. We've renamed the folder as also. If we go level here, distant island. There we go. Perfect. So then we can bring that in. Wrong scene though. I should close this. I'm going to put things in it on accident. That one's actually bigger than it's supposed to be. That's okay though, because we can shrink it up and then move it. Let's change it. There we go. Get rid of local editing there. Yeah, I would say let's pull it away a little further. See how that looks. Nice. Yeah, I like that fine. We have tree. Cool. We could shrink it a little bit. We could lower it a little bit. It seems like it's a little high. And we could move it away as well. Let's move it like over here, maybe. Feels a little better. Now, it's actually not showing up in this render, but it will show up, I think, to the player, because we've increased the player's render distance. So let's just plunk down a few more trees. Now, let's see, how come we don't have shadows? Oh, probably because we don't have a light. If we open... and we look at the light we have here. We have the sun. I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to paste it over here. There we go. Hey, look at that. That's cool. Now we've got some shadows. Alright. Now I'm noticing already my my hill texturing is a little bit off, which isn't a huge deal, but we can fix that while we're here. So these polygons here should be the other color. So, there we go. That's better. And we're going to want a fence across here, so let's do that in Godot. So if we grab our we could maybe even reuse just our gate doors, but we don't have to. We can do this other ways. Yeah, let's just do one thing at a time. Let's put some trees down. So select the tree, and let's duplicate it, which that's Control D, so that's cool. Know about the the light because we can use the shadow to help us tell when the tree's touching the ground as we're placing it. Which is kind of funny, but it does work. Boop. duplicated that one instead. That's okay. Nice. Righto, and then let's add some bushes as well. Right, yeah, that might not work. I have to put them inside the area here. That looks better. Just keep a little bit of symmetry. Cool. Alright, I'm digging that. Alright. Yeah, I mean, this is feeling more lifelike. Maybe that's the bad or the wrong word for it, but it's feeling a little bit more welcoming and with some visual interest. Right, well, that's a fair question. Do we want to actually add a lighthouse if we're already going to have an airfield right here? We could have like more like a guard tower looking thing. I don't know. Yeah, we can figure it out. We can we can play around with it. Right. But now the point here is we cannot get over this, so there's going to be a gondola kind of deal that will enable by solving some puzzle. And my thought is we're going to have some moving targets, and you'll hit those to turn it on. We could even do something like a spinner target, and you have to spin it, and you have to go over to turn it on. But we'll play around with that. Alright. Yeah, I think we will eventually want to sprint. Because otherwise this is going to take a while to walk around these bigger maps. But that's okay, because there's going to be stuff to do as you go. But I think the scale feels about right. I was wondering if I was going to have to shrink it, and I don't think I do. I think it feels about right in terms of, like, the size. Because I want it to feel like an island, you know? I want it to just feel like... I don't know, a really small little area. But we need to have there actually be stuff to do that's interesting here, puzzles to solve, this and that. So we can do that. I think actually making this little alcove be an underground area would make a lot of sense. So I think that's a good idea. And so having there be like maybe a door or something that you need to like get a key to or solve a puzzle for. And we could even have a concept of like you need to get like a special like I don't know, a special type of bullet or something. And once you have that, you can bring it with you between levels, and you could use that to open the door. Um, or something. I don't know. So, we will think about that. I think I'm going to switch gears again, just because it's nice to mix it up a little bit. So I really like how this is feeling, and I think I'm going to keep this and keep moving it in this direction. And I think this is a good first level, so I really like it. So let's maybe just grab a screenshot here, and then I might go back and program the macro off a little bit more, because that's a little bit more familiar territory for me. So give my brain a little bit of a break. Not that we did a whole lot right there, but not super up on my sleep, so give myself a little bit easier project. So let's jog this over here and go like this and hit crop, and that's our screenshot for this. So we'll say thumb. Nice. And then let's... Oh, and you know what? My partner's home, I think, so I'm going to call it there. But I'll work on this a little bit more today, I think, so thanks for dropping in for a short one. Cheers.